For example, I've seen you on TV a lot in the last couple of years. I know everything you know, or that you tell us, about the Russian situation. I don't have a clue what you think about healthcare. I've never heard it.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you're for Medicare for all or improve Obamacare or... You want to know why I have a bug up my ass about the left more than I used to? It's shit like this. There's an ugliness they never used to have. The liberals I grew up respecting, none of them are like this. So, I sometimes watch the other channels to see what they're saying because we do live in two different universes. And when I see MSNBC or CNN, it's a lot about what you're saying. On Fox News, the talking point is always, let's just wrap this up because after all this time, there's no there there. What do you say to the no there there people? Is there a there there?
The tension between Bill Maher and Adam Schiff exploded when Maher took aim at the woke ideology that he believes has consumed the left over the past decade. What followed wasn't a casual debate, it was an unfiltered verbal slugfest between two prominent liberals who suddenly realized they're no longer on the same page. Maher pulled no punches, and Schiff clearly wasn't ready for the fire. This wasn't just a disagreement, it was a political showdown laced with sarcasm and delivered red hot. If you're into bold, unapologetic takedowns that call out the excesses of modern progressivism, hit that like button and subscribe because this battle is far from over.
Let's stop talking about Trump. We talk about him too much. We want to tell people what we're going to do for them. Healthcare, environment, those kind of issues. For example, I've seen you on TV a lot in the last couple of years. I know everything you know, or that you tell us, about the Russian situation. I don't have a clue what you think about healthcare. I've never heard it.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you're for Medicare for all or improve Obamacare or get a chicken. I don't know what.
What began as a friendly chat between two prominent figures on the left quickly spiraled into a full-blown verbal smackdown when Bill Maher did the unthinkable. He went completely off script. Adam Schiff likely thought he was walking into a safe zone, expecting a few easy lobs about Trump, so he could deliver his usual breathless monologue about democracy teetering on the edge, all while the audience nodded along. But Maher had other plans. In a rare and refreshing moment of clarity, Maher told Schiff to drop the Trump talk and focus on something far more uncomfortable. What exactly are the Democrats offering the American people? Suddenly, the always composed, camera-ready Schiff looked like a student who forgot it was presentation day. He stumbled, fumbled, and scrambled for answers in front of a live audience that clearly wasn't buying it. When Schiff finally managed to cobble together a response, it wasn't the confident message of a party with a plan, it was a disjointed mess that left the room stunned. It was the political version of showing up to a black tie event in a clown suit.
Here's what I was telling my colleagues, and particularly these wonderful candidates we had running in the midterms. Don't talk about Russia. You're not going to persuade people to vote Democrat or Republican based on Russia.
But what about Trump?
Let's hit pause for a moment. The question on the table was simple. What message do the Democrats have for voters? And somehow, Adam Schiff launched into a monologue that shockingly didn't mention Russia. That alone should have raised eyebrows. Who even brought up Russia? No one. But this is the same guy who spent years fixated on Trump's alleged Kremlin ties, claiming he had rock-solid evidence and had spoken to key witnesses who, hilariously, he later claimed not to know. And now he suddenly doesn't want to talk about Russia at all. Interesting. It's almost as if the second Maher asked a question that wasn't spoon-fed from a campaign script, Schiff's entire talking points playbook evaporated. That one off-script curveball was all it took for Maher to expose the hypocrisy. Schiff wasn't just unprepared, he was stripped of his go-to narrative in real time. And based on his awkward stammering and fumbling, he knew it. But here's the kicker. It only went downhill from there.
I get asked about it because, our investigation for the last 2 years was the only investigation into what Russia did.
Right.
And people ask me about it. But what I urge the candidates and what I urge our nominees to talk about is, how are you going to help American people put bread on the table? How are you going to help them provide for secure retirement in an environment which people don't stay in the same job their whole life, in a job with globalization and automation? How do people get healthcare? How do they keep healthcare when they go from job to job? How do we help young people afford college? Those are the things we need to be talking about.
No wonder Trump calls him Shifty Schiff. The man's a black belt in moving the goalposts. Bill Maher threw him a painfully straightforward question. Asterisk, what are the Democrats actually doing to improve the lives of everyday Americans? Asterisk, you'd expect a seasoned politician like Schiff to have a ready-made list of policy wins and proposals. Instead, he responded with a string of hypothetical questions he'd ask other Democrats. That's like showing up to a job interview and telling the manager to go ask your coworkers why they should hire you. If that's not peak political absurdity, what is? Rather than outline a clear vision, Schiff fell back on the oldest trick in the book, deflect and redirect. He couldn't name a single concrete policy, not one actionable plan, not even a reheated talking point, just vague platitudes and, of course, more Trump bashing. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is your modern Democrat in action. Fluent in outrage, allergic to solutions. They can't go 5 minutes without invoking Trump, but the moment you ask what they actually stand for, it's crickets. Maher's question didn't just catch Schiff off guard, it revealed the hollow center of his platform. And judging by his scramble to recover, he knew it.
We are in the midst of two revolutions right now, either one of which would be phenomenally disruptive. The two put together are just producing this cataclysm of xenophobic populism around the world. And it's the revolution in the global economy through globalization and automation, when millions are losing their jobs through no fault of their own. And it's the revolution in communication, which is every bit as significant as the invention of the printing press, but it happened overnight, where lies travel faster than truths, where hate goes viral, and you put those two things together and it is a combustible mix.
Okay, seriously, if anyone actually understood what Adam Schiff just said, please explain it to me in the comments, because I've listened to it 3 times and I'm still lost. I used to think Kamala Harris was the undisputed queen of word salads, but after watching Bill Maher press Schiff, we may have found her king. Maher asked a simple, straightforward question. Asterisk, what's the Democrats' plan to help average Americans? Asterisk, Schiff somehow turned that into a TED talk on absolutely nothing. It was like watching someone get lost in a maze they built themselves. He stacked buzzwords on top of platitudes, tossed in a few vague nods to democracy, and wrapped it all in the kind of polished nonsense that sounds impressive until you realize it means absolutely nothing. Schiff's response wasn't an answer, it was a filibuster in disguise. Maher asked for steak, and Schiff served up a heaping plate of rhetorical tofu, no flavor, no substance, just pure fluff.
What a great feeling. One of the better feelings I've ever had.
You like this stuff better now than 2017?
Well, we're very experienced now. You would say nobody's ever had experience like I have. I've dealt with some very good people, I've dealt with some very bad people, and I know who the bad ones are and the good ones. So, don't forget, I was very successful in primarily the real estate business. And people used to say, who's worse, a politician or a vicious real estate developer? And I'd always say, the real estate developer is far worse. But after about 3 months of getting to know scum like Adam Schiff and other people like that, I said, no, actually, real estate people are quite nice, Mike.
Yep, I've got to admit, I actually agree with Trump on this one. I was never a fan of real estate types to begin with. The cheesy sales pitches, the fake urgency, the slick talk, it always felt off. But then I started paying closer attention to politics and realized something. Real estate agents are amateurs compared to career politicians. At least a sleazy realtor is trying to sell you an actual house. Politicians like Adam Schiff, they're selling you nothing and charging you for it. Schiff represents the worst kind of political operator. Someone who's built an entire career tearing others down, especially Trump, while offering zero in return. No ideas, no vision, no real solutions. Just endless moral posturing and smug sound bites. Instead of presenting facts or real alternatives, Schiff relies on distraction and deflection. He's not interested in fixing problems, he's interested in staying on camera. And folks like that, they should be avoided like the plague, because the moment the cameras go off, they disappear and so do their promises. That's why figures like Trump still hold sway. They call out the emptiness that people like Schiff try to dress up as leadership. In another interview, Maher asked Schiff a telling question, Listen closely to his answer. It says more in what asterisk isn't asterisk said than what is.
So, I sometimes watch the other channels to see what they're saying because we do live in two different universes. And when I see MSNBC or CNN, it's a lot about what you're saying. On Fox News, the talking point is always, let's just wrap this up, because after all this time, there's no there there. What do you say to the no there there people? Is there a there there?
If there was no there, James Comey would still have a job. I think, what I think is so important to get across about this, because at the root of this is why should people care about this? And as important as the collusion issue is, there's a lot at stake here, even beyond that. And what people need to recognize, the Russians intervened not just because they wanted to help Donald Trump and not just because they hated Hillary Clinton.
Now, to be fair, this was back when Bill Maher was still knee-deep in the progressive echo chamber, so some level of delusion was par for the course. But the question on the table was laughably simple. Asterisk, is there any actual evidence that Trump colluded with the Russians? Asterisk, a straightforward asterisk yes asterisk or asterisk no asterisk would have done the trick. Instead, we got the classic Adam Schiff tap dance, dodging, deflecting, and spinning like he was auditioning for Cirque du Soleil. Why all the smoke and mirrors? Because there was never any hard evidence. Zero. Nada. Just a whole lot of wishful thinking masquerading as fact. That didn't stop networks like MSNBC from churning out political fanfiction night after night, pushing the narrative that Trump was some kind of Kremlin-controlled Manchurian candidate. They'd breathlessly dissected every tweet, every slip-up, every raised eyebrow like it was a coded message from Moscow. Meanwhile, Schiff kept fanning the flames, playing the role of the somber, truth-seeking investigator, all while delivering absolutely nothing of substance. It was political theater in its purest form, high on drama, painfully low on facts. And this, right here, is exactly why Bill Maher has distanced himself from the woke left. He's had enough of the moral posturing, the narrative pushing, and the refusal to deal in reality.
Left more than I used to. It's shit like this. There's an ugliness they never used to have. The liberals I grew up respecting, none of them are like this.
I don't align with liberal politics or ideologies, but Ian, I've noticed something that's hard to ignore. The left has changed, and not for the better. A decade ago, whether you agreed with them or not, liberal leaders at least had coherent arguments. They pushed for things like criminal justice reform, environmental protections, and healthcare initiatives that sparked real, meaningful debate. Leaders like Barack Obama or even Joe Lieberman could articulate a vision for the country with clarity and purpose. But today, what we're seeing is a far cry from that. Emotional outbursts have replaced discourse. Twitter tirades and performative outrage have taken the place of policy debates. Arguments aren't rooted in logic or facts anymore, they run on vibes, victimhood, and venom. The hypocrisy is staggering. They preach tolerance while canceling dissent, claim to defend democracy while silencing opposing voices, and lecture everyday Americans from behind the gates of their luxury enclaves. This isn't a movement, it's a mess wrapped in moral superiority. The modern left has traded reason for rage and actual solutions for empty sound bites. Adam Schiff is the perfect example of this shift, dodging direct questions, spinning baseless narratives, and offering nothing of real value to working Americans. Once a side known for intellectualism and progress, today's liberal elite seem more interested in virtue signaling and demonizing their opponents than actually leading. So when Bill Maher exposed Schiff's hollow rhetoric, it wasn't just a viral moment, it was a spotlight on a political movement that's completely lost its way. And if this is what leadership looks like now, it's no wonder more and more people are tuning out and waking up. That wraps up today's video. If you're ready to keep pushing back against the madness, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let's keep exposing the nonsense together. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.